I guess it depends on the size of the wagons, doesn't it? But if you mean the biscuity thing, I don't really know. But what I can recall quite clearly is that Dundee biscuits appear to be quite small. Because when I was a kid and I used to help out on our parents' tea cart on Blackpool Sands, I used to get a Dundee biscuit and attempt to dunk it in my cup of tea without it going in the tea, and it wouldn't even fit in the cup, so I had to do it in bits and then nibble around it, which was quite good fun. But the last time I saw a Dundee biscuit, I thought, it's not very big, is it? So I think your impression of size changes when perhaps you mellow and reach 29. If you were to ask me right now, I would say secondary market bullion sovereigns, but they're probably outsold by 2021 gold bullion sovereigns and 2021 gold Britannias and 2021 silver Britannias. There's also the 2-ounce gold completer coin, bullion coin, and the silver completer bullion coin that are all in there competing for top spots. But if we look over a long period of time, sovereigns of some kind have probably been our best seller, or one of the best sellers ever. There's a good reason. They're a nice coin, they're universally known, they're available at very low premiums. There's quite a liquid market in them, and long may it last. Well, I did hear this question a few days ago, so I've had time to think about it. It causes problems when you have time to think about things, because what I realised is that I don't think there's one single one, and actually trying to recall, there's lots of individual bits that I guess I'm reasonably proud of. One could be still being in this business 57 years from starting it at the tender age of only 29. That's quite an achievement. It defies mathematics, which is kind of okay. What are other things? There's a few ski moments when we've been on some ridge with quite a steep slope at one side that we were trying to traverse, and the mountain guide said, do not slip here. If you fall here, you will die. Well, on one of them I did actually fall and I didn't die, so I'm quite proud of that one. I'm still here to tell about it. Probably avoid 1887 gold quintuple sovereigns and double sovereigns, because there are so many fakes of them about, and nowadays for the past how many years, actually for about the past 50 years there have been some very high quality fakes, and they can be a bit of a pain, and the high quality ones are really I find them hard work to tell, which is frustrating, because I've always been able to tell fakes from about 10 metres away on a good day, so getting coins where it's difficult to tell. But that's a kind of personal thing rather than a recommendation to a customer or a collector. I suppose in general, I'd advise people positively to think about older coins, real coins that were intended for circulation or maybe have circulated, because to my mind they're real coins. A lot of modern issue coins are made to sell to collectors, and that's rather artificial. I can see that there's a crossover there between making proof or brilliant uncirculated versions of coins that are intended for circulation, but even that starts to create a bit of a false market, and there are lots of people who will only buy modern issues, and they buy them on the marketing hype rather than because of a coin. And we see the aftermath of this because we get people in that have been buying and maybe collecting coins from their armchair for 5-10 years longer, and often spend a lot of money. These are usually older people who've got sadly not enough to do with the money, not enough time to spend all the money, and too much money to spend, and they buy these things believing there'll be an investment or an heirloom, and they typically buy them from what I call coin marketing companies. Well, that's the polite version of what I call them, and you'll see them. They're the people who do full page and half page adverts in national papers, who advertise on TV, and occasionally they have a loss leader. So you can buy a £5 coin for £5, or you can buy this year's gold sovereign for probably less than a dealer can buy one from the Royal Mint at. But they'll only let you buy one, and that should be a clue and a warning. If you can only buy one, there's something going on there. It's not genuine. If you want to buy more than one from them, they'll charge you more money. Meanwhile, you think they're cheap, and you get kind of conned or bamboozled by the fact that if you just search for that one coin, yeah, they've got the lowest price for it. But what they will then do is put your name on their mailing list, and they will mail you things that they will make the slight loss back on about 10 times over. You may also get a phone call pointing out that, oh, well, it's only a tatty old bullion coin, it's not worth much. If you sold it for scrap, you'd only get 60% of what you paid for it. You'd be far better buying a proof one for only probably £995, and that's a probably coin that you can buy from the Mint for £595. But there's a salesman trying to flog your coin he's going to make maybe £400 on, instead of a coin that they were going to lose £5 or £10 on. It's sometimes called bait and switch. And buy one of those by all means if you want, if it's a coin you want, but don't be fooled by the follow-up offers and the bait and switch tactic or the upselling. So it's not so much which coins not to buy, it's probably more who not to buy them from. I could give you a list, but I'm not afraid of naming names, but it's not the time and place in this video. I did actually apply to a uni to go on a civil engineering degree course, but because I was working about 40 hours in the business and about 30 hours at school, I didn't get enough A-levels, fortunately, to be able to get in. So there was a kind of default situation that when A-levels were over, I had nothing to do and I was already in the coin business. That doesn't answer the question, so I sound a bit like a politician, don't I? Yeah, I do think there are some things that would have worked well. Actually, merchant banking is probably a good one, and in those days there were a couple of bullion banks, Johnson Matthey Bankers Limited, Sharps Pixley, the original Sharps Pixley, Carolina Watt Benson, that did gold bullion as part of their portfolio of things that they've done. They were members of the London Gold Market and London Gold Pool, and I think if I'd have joined one of them, then I'd have probably ended up running that department, or maybe just gaining valuable experience, but my efforts and talents could have actually been geared up rather than starting out as a one-man business from scratch and spending a long time working it up from nothing. It's not always the best way. As I hardly watch any TV, it's difficult to actually think of one. The one bit of TV that we tend to watch is 7 o'clock news. mainly while we're having dinner. So we have a TV dinner, and we might watch 20 minutes, mainly news, whatever's on after it. And usually after that we switch off. Occasionally for sheer, what can I say, entertainment value, we might watch some real life police with cars, police with cameras, stuff, because there's some really good chase scenes in there, better than films like Bullion. The frustrating thing about those is they're all in commercial TV, so you get about 10 minutes programme, of which 5 minutes is repeat and rehash, and then about 5 minutes of adverts and then repeat. So usually what happens is I go and make a cup of tea and forget to come back, never end up watching the rest of it. I think only one person could have asked this question, and I'm not serious. Maybe it's to check whether I can actually just talk verbatim on just about any subject and for how long. Well, owl sanctuaries are probably pretty good, especially if you can take photos and the owls aren't chained up. But the problem with owl sanctuaries are owls are mainly nocturnal, apart from small owls or little owls. So photographing something in the dark is quite difficult. Sure, you can use flash and other lighting, but you've got to know where you're pointing the camera to start with. Blockchain, the technology behind it, does seem pretty sound, although I gather there are arguably technical problems there, things like the time it takes to record elements in long blocks, but there's a workaround for that. But the whole concept of creating a non-existent imaginary currency is probably much worse than what people call fiat money, which used to be based on gold and silver and is now basically based on government guarantees, trust, faith. So would you rather trust the government, or would you rather trust some anonymous entity out there offering some strange currency that they've just dreamt up? Yes, we do. We recently started accepting cryptocurrencies. It's been quite a long process getting through all the hoops and understanding the procedures and trying to automate it so it works well. And I would say it's still in a kind of beta testing phase, but yes, we are accepting them, and we will see how it goes from here. Yeah, we don't really chase celebrities, and most of the time if I saw one in the street I wouldn't actually recognise them. We certainly did quite a big deal, about £250,000 sale. Must be going back 20 years now, to a musician, and we don't name names. Client confidentiality is paramount unless there's some other good reason to deviate from that. Guy was very nice. Funnily enough, we'd met before, years before, and very welcoming guy. His wife was charming. Haven't been in contact since then, because he made it was a major investment at the time, and just did it in one go. We actually delivered it to the home. That was nice. And yeah, we have had some other people around. I think there's probably one I can mention. It wasn't a coin related one, but we met up with Danny LaRue on a couple of occasions, and he was a very nice guy, and had some chats, had some conversations, went for a meal with him once or twice. and he's not around anymore, but I'm absolutely certain that if he were, he wouldn't mind the mention. I usually don't remember jokes. They crop up because of something that's told, and it also, I suppose, it depends who's asked me not to tell them. There's a few that my wife asks me not to tell, or tries to shut me off if I start telling them. And there's quite a few that our son Duncan either tries to stop me telling or or complains about. But he's heard them before. So yeah. Strangely enough though, we actually get requests for some of my jokes, which is quite amusing in itself. A couple of months ago there was somebody in the showroom that was in, I think, maybe buying something, and he asked if I was about, and said that was a shame because he wanted to sort of have a chat for a few minutes, get a fix of some of my jokes. And I thought, well, that's a nice compliment. So there you go. Yes, we have what we call a black museum, and it does include some sovereigns, but by no means all. If we actually retained all the fake sovereigns and fake gold coins that we had bought over the years, then we'd have such an amount invested in them. So what we usually do, certainly nowadays, is photograph them, document them, usually do an XRF test to actually look at the metal content, and then keep just the more interesting ones. And more interesting could be for reasons that, in fact, I was looking at some coins in a box yesterday that are for my sort of attention and rechecking, and there was in one bag jingling together there were 3 1887 George V gold £2 coins, obviously fakes, and when I say obviously fakes, I think most people could actually spot they were fakes from 20 yards away, and if you chinked them together you'd tell they were fakes. Gold content was low, they just looked awful. And yes, we photographed those. We certainly won't keep all 3 of them. It's time we actually scrapped either all of them or 2 of them. So yeah, quite a few sovereigns in our black museum, and other coins as well. Just it's a kind of museum and an educational thing. No, not really. Certainly we do buy fakes, and usually just so that we can scrap them. So we make some profit doing scrap. We buy and sell scrap gold and scrap silver. When I say we sell it, yeah, we melt it. But we might occasionally try to buy something so we can photograph it, but very often we'll photograph something that comes in whether we buy it or not. We'll usually ask permission. Fakes are an interesting part of numismatics, and some people might kind of scoff about fake coins, but unless you study fake coins, then you don't really ever know when you might be getting a fake that you think is genuine. So they're definitely something that dealers really must do, and that collectors perhaps should do, or certainly look and study them, if for no other reason than being able to avoid them. Again, it's difficult. I've seen and owned so many nice coins over periods of time. It's quite difficult, really. There's also some coins that we've never owned yet that I would like to have at some stage. Quick thoughts are Gothic Crown, which actually is probably rumoured to be the next coin in the Royal Mint's Great Engravers series, but then it may not be. Obviously everyone nowadays likes the Una and the Lion coin, and we did have one some years ago that I didn't actually buy because it's a little bit scuffed and I'd have liked a better one, but we'll end up with one of those someday. And I'm talking about the genuine original 1839 versions, not the modern sort of kind of official Royal Mint reproductions or rehash ones, which are actually very nice. I'm not really being disparaging about those, but if I had a choice, I'd have one of the originals. And yeah, there are other coins. Quite often, a coin that I might be working with is my favourite coin of the minute, just because it gets interesting. And I have been known to get kind of excited when we have a bag of junk and it's got some minty condition aluminium coins or pieces of what most people would think was junk, and it might be an early or something like a 1920 coin in aluminium, or a copper or bronze minor coin from anywhere between 50 and 100 years ago that's not actually catalogued very much, but is nevertheless interesting. And also because we don't see them very often, we immediately grab a photo because it could be a long time before we see another minty one. And this can be a coin that's only worth a few pounds or a few dollars. It's been quite a warm day here, and how many questions have I answered? I'm getting a bit dry. Need a top up. Oh, sorry, is that on camera? Oh, it fits in that hole beautifully. Yeah, why not finger bottle?
Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're looking for the latest coin news and precious metal news, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook.